right, good morning, happy Monday. And so today I'm reading in Acts 12 in the account where Peter was in prison. I'm not going to read through the whole thing, but we'll hit some of it highlights. So Herod had just killed James, brother of John, and it pleased the people, so he went ahead and he took Peter as well, and he imprisoned him with intent to kill him. So Peter is sitting in jail, and I don't know how long he was in jail for. I don't know the context of all that, but he was in prison, and one night he was asleep between two guards, and he was chained to them. He was chained to these two men, and right there in the middle of the night, it says the angel of the Lord came upon him, so right up on him, and it said it smote him, and arise up quickly. And upon this, it said his chains fell off. Get up and get dressed. He girded himself, he put his clothes on, he put his shoes on, and then he was let out. He was led through the prison, through the wards, through the prison yard, all the way to the gates of the entrance of the city. And then the angel left him there. And so it was at that point where he realized, like, hey, something's up. But there were a couple things that I noticed in the meantime. So the verse that kind of triggered my thought in general was verse 5. It says, Peter therefore was kept in prison, but prayer was made without ceasing of the church unto God for him. So there was prayer without ceasing. Next would be the suddenness of the escape. In verse 9 it says, and he went out and followed him, and wist not that it was true that was done by the angel, but thought it was a vision. That happened so miraculously and so quickly, he didn't even know for sure if it was real. But then in verse 11, we see the realization of what just happened, which was, and when Peter was come to himself, he said, no, now I know of a surety that the Lord hath sent his angel, and hath delivered me out of his hand of Herod, and from all the expectation of the Jews. All right, so that prayers without ceasing, the suddenness of the escape, and the realization of what just happened. So a couple of things I noticed throughout is, hey, when God suddenly answers prayers, because you could be praying something for yourself, or others could be praying something for you, or you could be praying something for others. But when it happens suddenly, and it doesn't always look the way you think it will. So when he went to where they were assembled, to where they were all assembled praying for him, and he's at the gate, knocking and yelling, and the girl Rhoda comes, she was like, I know that's Peter's voice, but she wouldn't even let him in. She ran back to tell the people. She didn't understand what was happening. Then when she told all those that were there assembled together praying for him, they refused to believe it. They said, you're mad. And they said, it's his ghost. Like, they couldn't even believe that whatever they were praying had happened. Maybe, matter of fact, maybe their prayers were that he would pass into, eternity peacefully. I don't really know. But they didn't believe. So she didn't understand. They didn't believe. But here's what Peter did. This was another verse that really stuck out to me. Verse 16 said, but Peter continued knocking. And they had opened the door, saw him, and were astonished. Peter continued. Okay, Peter continued. And when they answered the door, he said, hey, this is what happened. I'm declaring unto you what happened. And then he said, go show James. He's talking about the half-brother of Jesus. Go show him what was done. And then he said, I'm going. He departed. He kept on going. He continued knocking, and then he kept on going. Okay, he didn't stay there. He didn't get distracted. All right, he just allowed what had happened, and he continued to do what God called him to do. There were sudden answers, there was a sudden deliverance, there was sudden realization. And so when these things are happening, don't get caught up. He got to step in. He didn't stay there, and he didn't get distracted by all that could have possibly distracted him. He kept going, he kept continuing. So when it happens, either for you or maybe someone you're praying for, hey, keep going. Don't get distracted. Keep going and do what God delivered you to do. He gave you something to do. He did. And so just trust that. Don't get caught up in all the extra. It's going to happen. Something else I thought about was, I don't recommend praying without belief, right? Because without faith, it's impossible to please God. But in this case, I don't know what exactly they were praying, but had they been praying that he be released, and then of course it showed us that they couldn't even believe that it had happened. That just goes to show you that when something is according to God's will, it will happen. When you're praying according to God's will, it will happen, right? What did the man say about his son? Help thou my unbelief, right? Anyways, be blessed. Have a good day.